Stillwater, amazing film. I absolutely loved it. It's such a brilliantly crafted story. And it's a very human story with so many layers. Where did the idea for Stillwater come from, Tom?
At this point, it's somewhat anthropological for me to answer that because it's been so long in the making. It's a script I started, I put down and revisited, then the pandemic hit. I feel like I started this in 1972, to be quite frank. But 10 years ago, I was talking with this other writer, Marcus Hinchey, about the Amanda Knox case. We were both really fascinated with it. And we started, focusing on that relationship of a young American student in jail for a sensational murder and her relationship with her father. And we worked on a script for a better part of a year. But at the end of that, I was just not satisfied with it. I didn't think it represented the kind of movie I wanted to make, and I wasn't ready to make it. So I put it away. And then 6-7 years later, I picked it back up, read it, thought I still like the idea behind this, but I just don't like the movie. And I started to, sought out two new writers, these French writers whose work I really loved, Thomas Bidigan and Noé Debré. And I just reached out. I just sent cold letters, sent an email. I'm like, I love your work. I got this script. Read it. If I'm not precious about any of it. I just like the idea of it. And we started from scratch, really, and reworked it. And it was such a fun collaboration. And I'm such a fan of French cinema, and to work with these guys who are so steeped in it and in European cinema, and to just like see the choices they made in terms of character and story, and matching the two sort of American movies and French movies, finding our kind of middle ground. Like, just creatively, that was super fun. Like, if we never made the movie, I'm like, that was cool.
Well, that's actually what I was going to ask you about too, is that, look, you're a master filmmaker. You have an Oscar for filmmaking, and 90% of your crew was French. Can you talk to me a little bit about what you learned collaborating with your fellow French filmmakers and just their style and their approach to cinema?
Well, look, I mean, there's a common language, which is cinema, which is movies, right? And the French have this insane tradition, this incredible tradition that certainly rivals and parallels ours,
right,
in terms of movie making. And like, I was so humbled to be there, like even working with these writers and then expanding that into the crew. And, you realize, look, it's still in America, it still sometimes does feel like an industry, right? It's this big, it's everything American. It's
right.
In French, it's still very personal, very intimate, very intelligent. And you could see that with everyone I collaborated with, from my script supervisor to my sound mixer to everyone along the way. They were just very engaged in all the elements of the story. It felt very intimate and personal in that way. And that's something I respond to as a filmmaker, something I think we all picked up on as a team. I know Matt really enjoyed that. He just said it felt very, I don't know, you could just we just felt like we're transported into another time making this movie. And we just felt lucky to be able to do it.
I mean, sorry about that.
No, go.
I wanted to ask a quick question about Matt, because he brings his full weight to the performance and he completely disappears in the role at the same time. How did he complete the character of Bill for you to make it a really well-rounded actual person?
Look, as a writer, or as writers, and even a director, you always get the work to a certain point, and then you need an actor to come in and elevate it, right? It's like a coach with a good game plan. Unless you have the athletes that can execute, forget about it. And Matt can execute, right? And I thought my greatest job as a director was really just to really give him the permission to do what he's capable of doing. To just say, he just worked with Christian Bale, and it was like, wow, Bale, man, he just goes deep. He does this. I'm like, Matt, you can, it's like Kobe talking about LeBron or something. Right. You're like, yeah, guess what? You can do that. You happen to be one of those special people. So go be you. And like, I think that's what he needed to hear on some level. Go get lost, man. Go dig deep. The ground is there, right? The map's laid out in terms of the script, but now you got to bring yourself to it and your full bag of tricks. And he did. I think he relished the opportunity to get lost, as you say.
Well, he did an amazing job. So did you, Tom. Thank you so much for your time. Stillwater is a brilliant film. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
It means a lot for me to hear that. I genuinely appreciate it.